Bob, it looks like at the high end of the valuation, based on these initial prices in their amended S1, it's going to be $3 billion less than their latest funding round.
And you know what's great? Pinterest got the memo. They got the memo from all the Lyft drama that we had. People were arguing, what's Lyft doing? They're valuing it 50% above the last round of funding, close to $22 billion. Lyft was $15 billion. And I think they saw all that drama. And now they come out at a valuation on simple market cap about $9 billion. And the last round of funding was $12 billion. This is great news. Why is it great news? It's great news for all the people who are going to buy this stuff. Remember, 230 IPOs coming? This is an awful lot of product to dump on the market. It's buy low and sell high. We want the stuff to be priced reasonably, and you want the stuff to have a nice move to the upside. You want people who are buying in, the retail investors, to make a little money down the road. I think this kind of valuation sends a message that they're listening to that. I think the chances that this will be a much smoother IPO, I mean, without all the drama, big up, big down, is a lot greater right now. And by the way, the other ones, Lyft is the anomaly. We've had 8 IPOs since Levi Strauss. They've done pretty well. Levi Strauss did very well. We've had a whole bunch of these other ones out there. GenFit, TradeWeb Markets is up 30% this year. These are pretty good returns so far. Lyft is a little bit of the anomaly, and now we've got to figure out,
but did Lyft put a wet blanket on the rest of the IPO market? I'm looking at Levi's. It tanked the day that Lyft really went down, and now we've got Pinterest coming in with this very modest valuation.
Yeah, it definitely moved the overall IPO market down because Lyft was the bellwether at that time. But now, again, you see what Pinterest going on here. I think they've got it, and I think it's going to be a lot smoother. Also, there's debate about how much money all these companies lose. Now, it's true Pinterest lost money along with everybody else, but the numbers aren't that bad. I mean, look here, $756 million in revenues last year, and losses were only $63 million. And by the way, I understand they were profitable in the fourth quarter of last year. That's a good sign. You can at least make an argument. There's a path here to get out of profitability. So that's just on the valuation side, there's an argument here that you can make the company's looking pretty well. But I love it when you see, remember the fellow we had on last time we were here? The last round of funding doesn't matter. That made me pick up my ears a little. It turns out the last round of funding does matter, even if it was in 2017. Pinterest was June of 2017. So I think that this is sending a really good message to the overall market that they've got it together. We're going to get a couple this week, by the way, a couple big cybersecurity firms, PagerDuty, Tufin Software are going to come. These are smaller companies, but in very, very hot spaces. I'll bet you they'll do pretty well, too. So overall, I think the IPO market is opening up really well, where prices are generally rising.
So is that one of the key takeaways here for investors who are hotly anticipating all of these new offerings this year, that profits actually do matter? And even if you're not making them and you're not profitable right now, this idea of losses narrowing and a path to profitability?
Yeah, that is the classic story. And remember what happened in 2000 when it turns out they didn't have revenues and they didn't have a path to profitability. That's a very bad way to look at things. But the important thing is reasonable pricing, too. They'll put up a lot of difficult path to profitability for a while, but if the thing is perceived to be overpriced right away, then you have all sorts of problems. You see this drama associated with Lyft.
Do you get more worried if we start hearing 10 times oversubscribed than the hours before?
No, I don't. That doesn't mean an awful lot to me. You'll always hear this, and this is a lot of broker talk, this is really big. All sorts of stories about this. I don't put a lot on that. I want to see aftermarket. I want to see after the first day of trading, does it hold up like Levi Strauss held up nicely? Profits were fine. They expected it. It's still pretty good, John.
Is it?
It's not that bad. It's fine. All right. I understand it went down on Lyft because they're all going to get killed if everyone perceives that this stuff doesn't have any value long term. They're going to get out. You know what that tells you? There's an awful lot of momentum people that are in this market. That's what it's. This whole action with Lyft in the first few days, and I don't know exactly what went on with that short selling story, but there was an awful lot of people who just dumped really, really fast and didn't hold on. Maybe we need people with a little longer term, but it tells me there's a lot of stuff that's out there, and a lot of people aren't so sure how it's going to hold up. So everyone's become a momentum player these days, and that's a bit of a problem.
Takeaway for the broader market?
The broader market is doing fine. Overall right now, I mean, look today, we're just getting clobbered because Boeing's down. The rest of the market, VIX was at the lowest levels of the year on Friday. S&P is up 7 days in a row. We're 2% from an all-time high. this is pretty terrific. If you can make the argument that Europe and China is bottoming, we're going to have positive earnings results this year. But that's a big order right now. Europe does not look particularly good to me on the economic numbers. And China, they're turning around. China's market, we're up 30%. The Shanghai is up 30% this year.
Yeah.
Who would have thought 6 months ago? Could you make that argument? The Chinese were sweating bullets. They were furiously stimulating their economy, really worried that things were going down. It still doesn't look that great, but at least it looks like it's stabilized somewhat.